Hello, welcome to SAP HXM Mornings. I'm Sven Ringling, SAP HXM advisor at Orbis People in Germany. And today I'm talking about a question some of you may already have been asking yourself all of the time. Why is SAP SuccessFactors integration so complicated? Or is it at all? To get started, I think there's no denying that in the early days of the SAP SuccessFactors journey, I'd say SAP has underestimated the integration topic, which is quite weird for an organization with integration basically all over their DNA. Whatever the reason was, there's no denying in my mind that we are not where we should be now in this whole integration journey. And that's probably also a reason why SAP has announced with their HXM Move initiative that they're investing a lot to improve this integration, and this has already started. But the fact that it's more complicated that I and many others would wish it to be right now does not mean that it's eventually more complicated or worse than what you have elsewhere in the market. So the other reasons why it's so complicated are the following. The first one, I would say, is choice. SAP does respect customers' choices and give them options rather than being patronizing and say, it's 2014, today we are all in the cloud, forget that old crap you invested in the last 20 years, we know better, do everything in this box. This is not what SAP is doing. SAP is offering those integrations with a lot of variations of having things here or here, a hybrid solution in all kind of constellations. Choice does make things complicated. However, it only makes them complicated in your decision process. Once you have decided what is best for your organization, the other choices fall away, and then you have just one solution that's not more complicated than anything else. Another point that I think is adding to some of the complexity is flexibility. It's probably closely related with choice, but we may see choice is that we choose a particular path once and then stay there. Flexibility allows you to tweak as you go along, which eventually translates into agility and something that we need probably more than anything else these days. And flexibility requires that you have options to configure things, and that maybe the middleware you are using here in the integration, the business technology platform, is powerful and therefore also more complicated than simpler ways. And then the third point is context. SAP provides a portfolio of all your business solutions. And therefore, SAP comes up with options to integrate your HXM solutions with other parts of your organization, not just finance, but the whole core process of the organization, logistics, production, the service delivery. And I think that is beneficial, but it just makes the picture much bigger. And therefore, it can be overwhelming and look more complicated. At the end of the day, if you take those things out, if you say, I'm looking just at the whole human resources, HCM, HXM part, it's not more complex than anybody else's solution too. So I think that's important with acknowledging that if we could go back in time, we would probably see earlier investment in those integrations. Where we are today is by no means a bad situation, especially as we see that investment into integration already happening. But it may look overwhelming because we have more choice, because we have more flexibility, and because you look at the full context. But something I absolutely hate is seeing old style salespeople from other vendors saying things like, our solution integrates more nicely with the SAP payroll than their own HCM solution. This is if you excuse my French, absolute rubbish. It's only easier on a PowerPoint slide because those people tend to throw a PowerPoint slide like HR XYZ, whatever their name is, and then they throw an arrow and say, look, it's easy. Well, it is easy. It took me about 3 seconds to paint that arrow. Maybe it would take me 5 seconds to paint a beautiful arrow. And then they say, SAP, they need this business technology platform in between because it's complicated. There are two things they are not mentioning. A, there is something like this that translates between the two solutions in here, whatever it is. And that also needs attention, needs to be configured. And there's another point that's quite important. It's usually not working. Well, eventually it is, but I have seen actually SAP partners become very rich on last minute projects where they had to implement this arrow on the PowerPoint of some salesperson to be a real integration between an HR solution that doesn't have a properly localized payroll and the SAP on-premise payroll. So yes, it's complicated because integration has always been and probably will always be the most complicated part in any IT landscape. But talking it away or throwing it away with an oversimplified PowerPoint doesn't make it better. So look at people who are honest to you, who talk to you about the integration complexities and help you to make it as simple as possible. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you a wonderful day and wonderful integration experiences.